Hi, today we're going to look at the solving of equations. And the first equation we're going to solve is x plus 3 equals to 5. This is an equation because there is an equal sign in it. Solving an equation means that x is equals to a numerical value in the end. So we will first have to remove the plus 3 here. To remove a plus 3, we have to minus away 3, but this will make the equation unbalanced. So we have to minus 3 on the right hand side as well. Just remember, whatever you do on the left-hand side, you have to do the same on the right-hand side in order to let the equation be balanced all the time. 3 minus 3 is what is known as a zero pair, and so the 3 on the left-hand side will disappear. On the right-hand side, 5 minus 3 will be equals to 2, and hence x equals to 2 is the solution of the equation. Next, we will solve x minus 3 equals to 5. In order to remove the minus 3 on the left-hand side, we have to plus 3 to form a zero pair. However, this will make the equation unbalanced. In order to balance the equation, we will plus 3 on the right-hand side as well. Once again, when you plus 3 on the left-hand side, we will plus 3 on the right-hand side. And this will give us x equals to 8. And since x equals to a numerical value, the equation is solved. How do we solve 2x equals to 8? To do that, we have to understand that 2x is 2 multiplied by x. So to remove a multiplication, we have to divide by 2. So we can write divide by 2 as over 2. 2 over 2 we know will be equals to 1, and that's how we remove the numerical value 2. When we divide by 2 on the left hand side, remember to divide by 2 on the right hand side in order to make the equation balanced. And we'll have x equals to 4. Now we will solve x over 2 equals to 8. To remove the 2 at the denominator, we have to do the reverse operation. The reverse operation of divide is multiply. So we will multiply by 2 on the left hand side, and we will also multiply by 2 on the right hand side. This will give us x equals to 16, and the equation is solved. Let's look at how to solve x squared equals to 16. To solve x squared equals to 16, we have to first remove the square. To do that, we will square root on the left-hand side. To square root on the right-hand side, remember to put a plus minus sign here. I will explain why this is so in a moment. The square root will remove the square, and on the right-hand side, plus minus square root 16 equals to plus minus 4. What this means is that x can take the value of 4, or x can take the value of negative 4. The reason is 4 squared will give us 16, and negative 4 squared will give us a value of 16 as well. So x can take either the value of 4 or negative 4. Whenever we square roots, we have to remember to put a plus minus sign in front of the square roots in order to solve it. For the last basic equation that we have to solve, it will be square root of x equals to 4. The reverse operation of a square root is square. So we will put a square on the left hand side, and to balance the equation, we will square the right hand side as well. And this will give us x equals to 16. When you square, you do not need to put a plus minus sign. You only need to do that when you square root on both sides. Now we will solve equations involving two steps. Here we have two numerical values, 2 and 3 on the left hand side. We have to decide which to remove first. In order to remove a 2, we have to divide by 2 on the whole left hand side, which means that it will look something like this. And this will complicate the equation. Hence, we will remove the 3 instead. To remove the plus 3 on the left hand side, we will subtract by 3. We will also subtract 3 from the right hand side in order to balance the equation, and hence we will be left with 2x equals to 1. To recall, 2x means 2 multiplied by x, so we will divide by x on the left hand side in order to remove the 2. And we will divide by 2 on the right hand side in order to balance the equation. And we'll be left with the solution x equals to half. The next two-step equation we will solve is x over 2 minus 3 equals to 4. So do we remove the value 2 or the value 3 first? To remove the value 2, we will need to multiply 2 on the whole of the left-hand side. Once again, this will complicate the equation, and hence we will remove the minus 3 first. To do that, we will plus 3 on the left-hand side, and we will also plus 3 on the right-hand side. And this will give us x over 2 equals to 7. To remove the over 2, we will need to multiply by 2 on the left-hand side and multiply by 2 on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, we will be left with x, and on the right-hand side, 7 multiplied by 2 equals to 14, and this is the solution of the equation. We will now solve an equation involving x squared. We have a 5, a 2, and a 4. So which value do we remove first? We may want to remove the square, but this will mean that we need to square root the whole of the left-hand side. And again, this will complicate the equation, and that is not ideal. Instead, we will remove the plus 4 first by subtracting by 4. One trick you can do is to remove the numerical value that is furthest away from the x term. 5 and the square is right next to the x, so we will remove 4 instead. This is one way to help you to remember. To balance the equation, we will subtract 4 on the right hand side as well, and we are left with 5x squared equals to 45. So should we remove the 5 or should we remove the square? To remove the square, we have to square root on both sides, and that is not easy. So we will remove the 5 instead. 5x squared means it is 5 multiplied by x squared. So we do the reverse operation of dividing by 5 on the left hand side and dividing by 5 on the right hand side. On the left hand side, we will be left with x squared. On the right hand side, we will be left with 9. To remove the square, we will square root on the left hand side, and we will plus minus square root on the right hand side. To recall, in order to remove a square, we have to plus minus square root on both sides in order to get two solutions. When we square root the x squared, we'll be left with x. When we plus minus square root of 9, we will have plus minus 3. This means that x can take the value of negative 3, or x can take the value of 3. And in this case, we have two solutions, and the equation is solved. For the final equation, we will need to solve x minus 3 squared minus 16 equals to 0. So we need to decide whether to remove the minus 3, the square, or the minus 16. Yes, 16 is the furthest away from the x, so that's one trick that we can use. We will first remove the minus 16 by adding 16 on the left hand side, and to add 16 on the right hand side as well. On the left hand side, we will be left with x minus 3 squared. On the right hand side, 0 plus 16 is 16. To remove the square, because it is furthest away from the x, we will square root on the left hand side, and we will also square root on the right hand side. Once again, when you square root, remember to put a plus minus sign. On the left hand side, we'll be left with x minus 3. On the right hand side, plus minus square root 16 will give us plus minus 4. So we will have two equations, x minus 3 equal to plus 4, or x minus 3 equals to negative 4. If you do not remember whether to put a or a and, well, you can simply put a comma. So let us solve the first equation. To remove the minus 3, we will plus 3 on the left hand side, and we will also do that on the right hand side. And x equals to 7. To solve the next equation, we will plus 3 on the left hand side as well, and plus 3 on the right hand side. And that will give us x equals to -1. Solving this equation will give us two solutions, and we can check whether these solutions are correct or not. In order to check, we can substitute the value of x equals to 7 back into the original equation, like this. 7 minus 3 squared minus 16, when we calculate, we will know that it will be equals to 0. And since the left hand side is equals to the right hand side, we know that the value of 7 is the correct solution. Same thing for -1, when we substitute it back into the x value of the original equation, the left hand side will give us 0, and from the original equation, the right hand side is 0 as well. So we know that -1 is the correct solution, and that comes to the end of our video here. Thank you for watching.